Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Jeremy from Randolph Running Club, here today to talk to you about the Hoka Bondi 8s. As you saw there in the quick intro video, that was a run I did fairly recently in these shoes just to get them up to 100 miles total. I think I'm at exactly 102 miles right now. And, I feel like that's enough time for me to kind of share my thoughts and, how I've been getting along with the shoes thus far. I've been using these primarily as my daily trainer of choice. I think I mentioned in the last video of the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3s that I'm trying something a little bit different on the build up to the Oakland Running Festival, where I'll be doing the Oakland Marathon, the full marathon. So I'm only doing two shoes that I'm primarily running in, and I'm trying to kind of get a little bit more in depth on these two shoes than I normally do on the channel. Where I might, just do a 50 mile or 100 mile check-in. This time I want to go a little bit further. If you ever run a marathon before, if you're training for one right now, you know that we can just pile the miles on these shoes so quickly. I'm running about 50 miles a week right now, so it doesn't take much to put on some pretty intense mileage on these. I'm using these primarily as my daily trainer, pairing them with the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3s. This is my 100-mile review, but I'll check back in probably at 200 miles and then whatever we end up with by the time of the marathon for sure. So let's get started with some specs. These bad boys come in at 11.1 ounces in a US men's size 9. Got a monstrous heel stack height of 42 millimeters, and the forefoot stack height is 38 millimeters to create a heel to toe offset from the forefoot to the heel of 4 millimeters total. Now with that out of the way, let's just get straight into it. Let's talk about the on foot feel. I'll kind of talk about step in comfort and the on the run feel as well in this section. So, first and foremost, the shoe is kind of Hoka's, main thing, right? Outside of the Clifton, this shoe is kind of what, personifies the brand. It's a maximum stack, highly cushioned, just plush daily trainer shoe that you can use for all kinds of miles. Really good if you're recovering from an injury or just injury prone. This is the type of shoe that they're really marketing to you as something that can kind of keep you on the roads. And I really think that Hoka, as far as the ideology of these shoes, really knocked it out of the park. I think they stayed extremely true to what the goal of the shoe is, while making it look a little bit more stylish than some of the previous versions. It has an extremely nice, just thickly padded tongue. The tongue is semi-gusseted, which I really enjoy. It just makes the shoe have that nice kind of sock-like upper. It makes it just hug your foot that much more for that extra bit of comfort, but you don't feel any digging from the laces because that tongue has so much padding and cushioning to it, which I absolutely love for these types of shoes that are really max cushion and comfort focused. That plush feeling also continues all the way around the ankle, which ironically enough, this shoe caused me some ankle pain early on because I think, I'm wearing my normal size 14, but they do run a little bit longer than I anticipated. And I think I just didn't lace them tightly enough. And I just got some unexpected rubbing that caused me some ankle pain. But once I kind of got that dialed in, I found these to be extremely comfortable. That ankle area is extremely plush. And even when I'm sweating and doing, really long half marathon half marathon distance runs in these shoes so far, I found that they're not necessarily extremely water absorbent, despite the fact that it has this really padded and thick material all the way around the shoe. So I really am enjoying that. I think, they really hit the nail on the head. The upper is extremely soft. It's that Hoka mesh, but I really think they kind of found the right iteration here or something. It's just a little bit softer than what I'm used to on the Rincons that I've typically run in the past. Those have caused me some kind of hot spots here and there, especially the first version, just kind of some unnatural rubbing and things that didn't lead to the most comfort. But this, I feel like maybe, just tried and true. They keep making mesh uppers over and over on all their shoes, and maybe they just finally figured it out. But I find that if you've had problems with Hoka in the past with blisters and things like that, which I actually had with the Hoka Bondi 7 when I reviewed that last year, I find that this shoe kind of rectifies those issues and has been a very pleasant experience on foot thus far. So, best of all, I think just the on the run feel of these shoes is that I think Hoka really nailed the EVA midsole this time around. They're saying it's 30% softer than last year. I don't know about that. I would actually argue that the Bondi 7s felt comparable to these, maybe even a little bit, just a tad softer. But I think, without running in them back to back, it's kind of hard to tell. And I've since moved on from those shoes just because they caused me some extreme hot spots in the forefoot area and the actual mesh upper as well. But with that being said, this EVA midsole, it feels really nice. It does everything that it kind of sets out to do. Very soft, provides that nice swoosh on step in, and it maintains that on the run. It feels pretty incredible on the run. I will say in much colder temperatures, EVA foams have a history to get a bit more firm and lose some of that softness. I did experience that slightly with these when I started running in, like 30-ish degree weather, but nothing egregious that would make me say, oh, the shoe's just lost the plot of what it really is. So I think, I wouldn't worry about that too much unless you're running in like sub-zero temps. And in that case, you're probably on a treadmill or you're wearing some kind of snow trail shoes or something of that nature. But with that being said, the shoes feel really good. They feel soft, comfortable. I've used them mostly for slower miles up to, like I said, kind of a half marathon distance, and no issues, feel great, and really do just a phenomenal job giving me that cushion that I need. I did wear these for a full week straight with no Endorphin Speed 3 support on a business trip I recently went on. And I usually only bring one pair of running shoes just so I can pack light, make sure I just have a carry-on. And I chose these just because the bulk of my runs were going to be those easier runs. And during that week, I had one 8-mile tempo run where pretty much the entire thing was going to be at like marathon race pace for me, essentially. And I was thinking, oh man, these shoes aren't going to do well. I'm really going to struggle. They're so soft and heavy, clunky, And what I actually found was that rocker geometry that Hoka is really famous for, kind of that extended heel, really kind of made the shoe feel a lot more nimble and light on the foot. I was really able to kind of get to that like sub 8-minute pace for me, which would be, tempo around 7:45-ish a mile. And I was able to hold that pace very comfortably and feel, honestly, like I wasn't really missing much. I mean, granted, when I came back, to California and I put on the Speed 3s for a speed workout, I was like, oh yeah, that's why I have these. They feel a lot nicer when you're at, those really fast paces. But I will say, if you were really struggling and you just had to buy one shoe, don't let the weight of these get you down too much. I think if you didn't experience something else, you'd say, oh, these actually feel pretty good. So with that in mind, you'd never go for these in a race scenario, but if your main goal was just to finish a marathon or finish a half marathon or whatever distance you're trying to conquer, these will leave your legs feeling really fresh, and they definitely help on those daily miles when you really aren't pushing it too hard anyway, and you just kind of want to make sure that your legs are fresh for your quality sessions building up to your race. So my only knock on these for the kind of on-foot feel, and this is just a typical Hoka issue that I've experienced, is the outsole rubber actually. It's holding up nicely, but the real issue is, excuse me, traction in the wet. I always find with Hoka shoes that I have, if I go on like those kind of painted pedestrian crossings, or I'm running over kind of like that, like gravelly kind of material. I actually don't know what it is. It's kind of like a concrete, but you can see the actual gravel that was in it that got compacted. And whenever I step on those kind of things, it's just really a crapshoot on how it's going to play out for me. I find that these tend to be very unpredictable in those situations. So if you live somewhere where it rains like every day, maybe look elsewhere potentially. But that's my only real knock on these, especially considering what they're actually intended for. So next, I just want to talk about the durability very quickly. I think the outsole on these looks really great, only minor wear. Let's see if that gets in focus. Yep, there we go. I only see a little bit of wear on the forefoot area, and that's like if I'm really just truly looking for it. It's nothing too crazy. You can also see a little bit of wear where there's some exposed foam, but it's nothing that I really think has impacted the shoe. And honestly, I think they're holding up really well. Kudos to Hoka, because I remember on the Rincons, for instance, so that was a shoe where the outsole just got chewed up really fast, and obviously you don't want the midsole to be completely exposed. Also, the grip of the shoe is a big concern at that point. But I'm only noticing minor wear. I'm not going to give a reliability or a durability prediction just yet, but I think these can go the distance for sure. They feel good. And if anything, the midsole has only gotten better and a little bit softer with time as it's broken in. So I'm really enjoying the durability so far that I'm seeing here. And last but not least, I want to talk about the value, the price of the shoe. These were $165, just retail price. And that's really not cheap. But when I look at the running shoe landscape right now, it is very interesting because I think all of the shoes that kind of compete near these shoes cost about that much. The Nike Invincibles are $180. The Asics Gel Nimbus is $160. Hoka, New Balance More V4, I think is like $160. So all these shoes kind of cost that much. So I can't really give it a knock. I just think running shoes are super expensive right now, and it is what it is. So maybe pick up last year's model, or try to find one secondhand if you can. If you're price conscious there, I know for me that was a real shock right going in. It's like, oh man, I really don't want to whip out the credit card and pay almost $200 for a shoe. It feels like. But with that being said, it compares favorably to its contemporaries. The only thing I will say is, even though the Invincible costs more, if I had to pick between the two of those, like just A/B comparison, the Invincible does provide a little bit more pop, and I feel like it just feels a little bit more energetic. So that would probably be my max cushion shoe of choice, if I had to pick one. But I have to say I have been enjoying the Hoka Bondi 8 thus far. So I don't want to say that's a knock. I just think the Invincible 1 and 2 that I've tried have just been so good that it's kind of tough to dethrone that as the max cushion king right now. And I'll be trying the 3 pretty soon here as well. So last but not least, I just want to close out, final thought here. I've really enjoyed these shoes thus far. They've been extremely comfortable, and the durability has actually kind of surprised me how good it's been compared to some Hoka shoes I've worn before. So I'm looking forward to just racking up the miles. I'll be back for a 200-mile check-in on these, and then maybe like 250, 300. Who knows, man? I'm marathon training. You never know where you're going to get. But with that in mind, thank you so much for watching. If you found this useful, if you enjoyed this content, feel free to like, subscribe, chat with me down in the comments below. And of course, as always, stay blessed, inspire others, and stay safe out there, guys. See you next time. Peace.